Welcome back, everyone, to another one of my Kaiserreich playthroughs. This time it is going to be the cut it, Russia, but a certain kind of Russia. As you saw, I picked the Popular Front. So, what is the deal with the Popular Front? By the way, if you do not know bloody nothing, or if you want to know more about the whole way Kaiserreich Russia works in terms of the politics, you can take a look at my Russian Politics Explained video, which goes into quite a bit of detail about everything that happens with this and what the Popular Front exactly is. Essentially, as you may remember or as you may know already, the Popular Front is essentially a coalition of the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks to keep the Russian Republic in check, which can turn either to the proletarian dictatorship and restoring the Soviet Union, or can keep the Democratic Republic afloat. However, it can be a democratic republic run by the syndicalists, which is pretty much the only example of a, you could say, liberally, constitutionally liberal state run by syndicalists that doesn't turn into a constitutionally, syndicalist or constitutionally socialist. And I'm using these terms kind of vaguely, but you get my meaning, state. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. And the reason I wanted to do it, this first episode, by the way, is only going to be me talking about essentially what the whole playthrough is going to be about, rather than actual gameplay. Gameplay is going to be coming in the next one, which maybe it's going to be out tomorrow, maybe today. It depends on exactly how I decide to upload these things. So the whole idea is that in terms of gameplay functionality, the Russian focus tree is much better than the Soviet focus tree. Not because it's stronger, but because it is more interesting to use. It is like the Russian focus tree is still kind of dwarfed at this point by what the Kaiserreich team has managed to do with some of the newer focus trees, obviously, but it is still quite the good focus tree. And back when it came out, it was actually really great, obviously, but yeah, it's got a much better foreign policy and some better economy stuff as well. So it's like it's just a little bit more interesting to play with, and especially the army and navy stuff I like. So yeah, that's what we're going to use because gameplay. And also, in terms of gameplay, it puts you in an interesting position because Russia, the Russian Republic is quite a bit harder to play than the Soviet Union in some ways. With the Soviet Union, the only more difficult thing maybe is that you have to win the Civil War if you want. Whereas here, we compromised, and so we didn't have a Civil War. Still though, Russia starts off of a pretty damn nasty equipment deficit, a huge army that isn't equipped, and yeah, a lot of problems with stability. Although we have managed to recover from that, it takes a while for you to do that. You also have problems with political power. You have problems with the way your ministers are set up. Although with the Popular Front, you actually get a relatively okay minister line from the start. Except for the economy minister, Zinzinov. He gives you -8% production efficiency gap, so we're going to be taking a look at that, wanting to change it. And yeah, other than that, the only actual changes is that we're going to have elections in 1940. We're going to have elections rather than what the Soviets have, which is basically they have elections between totalists, syndicalists, and radical socialists. Our elections are going to be a little bit more different. And yeah, also we get the, Democratic Republic stuff down here, so -25% war goal time. So in terms of gameplay, you have several advantages to making it more fun. And in terms of like theme for the playthrough, I do want it to be kind of a weird thing that not really many people see a lot in Kaiserreich. The Popular Front is just not something that you see every day. And then another thing that I am trying to do with this playthrough is to make it like kind of difficult, right? So since this is a kind of difficult starting position on its own, I also did want to kind of augment that. And if we take a look at the German Empire, we can see that I strengthened the German Empire to the maximum. I also strengthened Japan to the maximum, and I believe I also strengthened Austria to the maximum. Yeah, just to make it a lot more difficult. Then I think I also strengthened someone else, although I don't remember exactly who. Anyway, the main reason why I did this is to make sure that the German Empire destroyed the Commune of France, and that the Entente wouldn't become too dominant, because it's a lot simpler to fight German Empire rather than the Entente, because you don't have to land in another continent to actually finish the war. So that's always nice. And yeah, like in terms of goals, my main goals for the playthrough are going to be to just kind of defeat Mongolia, keep Japan at bay because it's difficult to defeat them, and defeat Germany. Those are the main ones. And yeah, essentially that's what that is. So far, you can see what I've done in the focus tree. I haven't touched the economy yet because that will become useful later. I've gone down armor for army, and I've gone down carriers for navy, even though maybe we're gonna never have need of that. We've taken Central Asian direction because it's the easier one to do, and we are about to declare war on the Alash Orda because, again, it's easy. And that's going to be the first part of the next episode. And yeah, essentially what I'll be trying to do to defeat, German spam is by getting good armor divisions, pretty standard stuff, and roll through them. Hopefully liberating Europe all the way to the west. And yeah, the whole idea is that the Russians, under their republic, will create a bunch of syndicalist countries in Europe and create a new syndicalist order in Europe at their own cost. In terms of the world itself, how it has been developing, I haven't been taking too much of a look at it, but Combined Syndicates is doing very well, and they might get invaded by Canada, who knows. South America has integralist Brazil, so that's quite interesting. Peru was briefly at war with Ecuador, and so they won and took this thing, this state. I think it's not normally theirs, right? Yeah, foreign claims Ecuador, so who knows. Then we have Argentina doing its thing, fighting the syndicalists down there. Africa is just normal. The war here against the Ottomans hasn't kicked off yet, so yeah, this is pretty much, normal stuff. Bulgaria did lose, and they have the wide socialists in power. And yeah, they have this ongoing in terms of the Commune of France, Union of Britain, and Socialist Republic of Italy. Nothing really too out of the ordinary, except, I mean, he came to power. What a man. And yeah, Flanders, Wallonia had a bunch of strange stuff going on. So yes, problems there, just like every time. And in Scandinavia, you have Quisling just being kind of a derp man and getting invaded by Denmark, which is not something I usually see. In the east, we have that Mongolia is doing very well, unlike the Prince of Federation, who's getting destroyed, while the Indochinese are taking a while to defeat the East Asian German. And yeah, they will probably be successful in the end. So, plans for the future, and after this I think I will sign off. Plans for the future, I do want to essentially... One of the strengths of this kind of thing is that you keep Republican Russia's general lineup, which is quite strong. My plans are to, try to expand the borders as much as possible, obviously. Retake Alash Orda, then take Turkestan, because this is easy, and then I can just try to do some stuff with the Caucasus, but likely will not work. I can just justify on Finland, although I don't have political power to do that. Sad. And then deal with Mongolia as quickly as possible, because, yeah, I don't want to do that. And then after that, it's going to be all about preparing for Germany. Yeah, pretty much it. See you next time with the first episode of this.